Hey Defenders, welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into the continuing saga of the Feed Our Future scandal happening right here in Minnesota. So if you're wondering what the actual details are, well, we're going to pour into it right now because the court case is going on with the suspects on trial at this moment. Hey, but before we go into that, don't forget, hey, Christmas is coming up. You need a gift for under the tree. You got a sportsman, somebody that's into firearms or hunting in your life. Hey, get your GuardTech Plus cleaning kits right now. I'm going to have the link down in the description below so you can get onto the website, get into the funnel, and purchase your kit right now so you can get that under your tree and let that loved one know that your firearm is filthy and you do need to clean it every now and then and put some lube on that thing. So, hey, great gift, great idea, and that's going to solve like a lot of your problems when you start doing your Christmas shopping. So, awesome, awesome gift. Now, past that, let's talk the Feed Our Future scandal. Now, for those of you that don't know, and we're just going to lightly go into it because we've covered this in earlier videos, and I highly recommend go back and watch some of those videos pertaining to the Feed Our Future scandal. And what the scandal was is that there's a missing $275 to $300 million out of COVID funding that got supplied to the state of Minnesota from federal funds during the COVID time period, and that was being used to pack meals and serve them out of several sites in Minnesota through some nonprofit organizations. But lo and behold, they didn't serve the numbers that they actually were reporting upwards, and all of these funds come from your own pocket because it's all taxpayer-funded COVID money. So how does that look in Minnesota? Well, one of the hearts of the investigation happened at a place called the Safari Restaurant off of Lake Street in Minneapolis itself. Now, it's a Somali-owned restaurant, and there's a big portion of the Somali community that's caught up in this scandal also, because they're also running a deli, and that's caught up in this also, and they're on the witness stage also, in addition to the director of the Feed Our Future scandal being on the stand too.
In December of 2021, the FBI installed a surveillance camera overlooking this building just off Lake Street in Minneapolis. At the time, it was Safari Restaurant, which overall took in $12 million in federal child meal payments through Feeding Our Future. Safari's former co-owner, Salim Saeed, is on trial alongside Amy Bach, the Feeding Our Future executive director. Safari claimed to feed 4,000 to 6,000 kids a day. Its invoices and meal counts shown to the jury alongside the video. An FBI agent testifying that an average of 40 people came and went during the 6 weeks it was surveilled. The FBI set up a total of 12 cameras at sites claiming to serve extraordinary numbers of meals. Another was at a deli in St. Paul, also registered by defendant Salim Saeed, which claimed 1,800 meals per day. The video shown to the jury showed an average of 23 people a day coming and going. The jury was...
For the Safari Restaurant, what they found that there was $12 million that were missing. And so fraudulent funds that was never used for its purported purpose. And what happened was that the Safari Restaurant was reporting in a 6-week period that they were serving 4,000 to 6,000 meals a day. And they were bringing up invoices and sending those to the the Minnesota Department of Education. And what they found was that they were only serving 40 people total in a 6-week period. Because if anybody remembers here in Minnesota, Waltz absolutely locked the state down and went pretty damn authoritarian and shutting everything down from churches to restaurants to the YMCA. Yeah, you name it, they were locking crap down. Okay. Now, how do we know that only 40 people visited the Safari Restaurant in that 6-week period? Well, the FBI was actually involved in the investigation and had set up 12 surveillance cameras around the restaurant to actually watch the comings and goings out of the restaurant to see if the 4,000 to 6,000 meals actually lined up with those invoices and with the physical numbers of people going into the building. And as you can see with 40 people versus upwards of 6,000, there's a huge discrepancy there. That caused then the FBI to then dig further and to find that, well, of course, then the majority of the invoices were all fraudulent invoices. So fraudulent that they even used fake names off of a website that would generate names for them to put on the invoices and send those up. Now, what about that deli that's caught up in this too? Well, that deli was reporting actually serving 1,800 meals a day, and in that 6-week time period only served 23 people. 23 people caught on surveillance footage actually coming and going out of a total of 6 weeks during the lockdown. So not only did they have false meal counts, false invoices, surveillance camera footage showing that there was a discrepancy between 4,000 to 6,000 served meals and actually 23 to 40 people between the two sites. But they also found websites that the organizations were using that would generate fake names and create a roster to show fake children that were being served the meals. Meaning that all of this, none of this was an accident. This was all deliberate criminal felony fraud. Both that, it means you're violating state law here and you're violating federal law in it also, because this is all taxpayer funded money coming from the COVID pool that everybody, you viewers out there have all paid into. That is your funds. Now, what's the double kicker in all this? The Minnesota Department of Education had multiple red flags and proceeded to do nothing about this, possibly showing that how captured that organization is. And I would believe, now, of course, this is my own opinion at this point, conjecture, and my hypothetical is that when you have an organization like the Minnesota Department of Education not acting on those red flags, that there's probably kickbacks and money flowing upwards in the administration, and I would even dare say going as high as the Walz administration itself, due to the fact that you have appointed positions within that organization. Now, what red flags did the Minnesota Department of Education have? I mean, they had impossible reimbursement numbers, impossible numbers of meals being served. And they saw that these things didn't line up, and they just threw that rubber stamp on there anyway, signed them off, and paid out the funds. All of this is also on the tails of the audit that Walz just failed, showing that the Walz administration actually can't even keep basic receipts. Now, that then can go a couple of different directions. And I'm definitely of the mindset at times where, don't mistake for malevolence, which can be explained by incompetence. Okay. And there's certainly incompetence within the state of Minnesota, in state government positions. I mean, all the way up to the governorship. My opinion aside, you're watching that happen, certainly. However, when it's this widespread and systemic and you have active ignoring of those warning signs of crimes being committed, it's not just incompetence. I firmly believe that's malevolence also, that it is absolutely the fully aware this is full criminal activity, in the know, and guilty of these crimes as well. This even goes into further patterns of Walz's administration in the governor's office itself, where they have failed on 12 different counts for a financial audit that just came through the state of Minnesota, showing that their that the administration can't keep receipts, have overinflated invoices, and have non-existent oversight, that nobody's actually watching over the governor's office. So as much as Walz says accountability and we can do better, we can certainly do better by stop voting for active criminals. It's pretty damn simple, but everybody gets caught up in party lines and not even doing a basic amount of research, because if somebody's worldview lines up with yours, who gives a shit what they're doing? And that's the general attitude of the voter base for a lot of, for big portions of Minnesota. I mean, everywhere from like Duluth to the Upper Peninsula to the Twin Cities area, people will vote against their own interests because the person that they're voting for is part of their worldview or makes them feel good, because they vote off of emotions. So anyways, I just wanted to cover that. That's the current status of the criminal trial right now with the Feed Our Future scandal. So, and you don't have to take my word for it. Absolutely do your own digging, do your own research. This is what's being presented to the jury at this time. So anyways, it's Mike with Aegis Defense Solutions. Thanks for sticking around. Remember, stay prepared, not scared. God bless and good night, everybody.